strong Facebook ad creative can make or break the success of a campaign. On our team, we manage over $200,000 a month in ad spend, and that means we launch hundreds and hundreds of variations of ad creative. So today, I get to take you a little behind the scenes about what actually works based on data that is real from my team. I'm also gonna teach you my secret hack on how to create ad angles that actually convert. And this specific strategy is responsible for cutting a cost per lead by 1/10 recently. Hey, it's Emily. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I talk about how to have a wildly successful business without sacrificing your happiness or freedom. Before diving into the 7 variations of ad creative that work with your Facebook ads, we have to talk about coming up with strong angles, because you can have the best creative in the world that you can have, and if you don't nail the angles, it's not going to work. What do I mean by that? I mean, what pain, frustration, or desire are you going to focus on in your ad creative? And how can you get specific with that? Because if you say, oh, I'm just gonna focus on getting healthy or making more money, well, so is everybody else in the newsfeed. So how can you get very specific about the angle or the hook that you're going to use in your ad creative? If you're not sure, what I would do is get out a paper and make a list of 5 to 10 different specific frustrations, pain, or desire that your ideal customer experiences. And then once you have that, that can help guide your creative. So let me give you an example. I help people with marketing, but I wouldn't make my angle how to have successful marketing. I would get more specific. How to successfully market during the holidays, or how to fix a Facebook ad that's not working, because that would be the frustration of Facebook ad not working. So get really specific about those things and then use that to drive your ad creative. Now, I have a secret way that we go even deeper in creating those angles that I like to call seasonal marketing or seasonal messaging. Every season of the year, your ideal customer likely goes through a shift. They have either new or more loud frustrations or desires. So for example, in the summer, a lot of people experience their kids are home, they're traveling more, they have less time. In the new year, a lot of people experience, I need a plan, I need a strategy, I wanna meet my goals. In the holidays, people experience different stress. So each season has an opportunity for a unique and a specific way for you to connect with your audience. So one of the things that we do when we go run a new campaign or we are creating new ad creative is we try to think about what are seasonal messaging angles that we could leverage. That doesn't mean 100% of your ad creative should be seasonal. Maybe 20%, maybe 10%, but it might be the variation that does the best because it's the most specific and relatable to your ideal customer. So I'll give you an example that we just had with a client. She runs the same exact challenge 3 or 4 times a year. But this last time, we went really specific about pain points that her ideal customer is experiencing as it gets closer to the holidays. And we talked through those, we went really deep on those, and then we used those angles in her ad creative. And we had her make a video on one, and then we made a reel on one, and her cost per lead went from $10, like it normally was, down to $1.50. A huge cut in her cost per lead, which resulted in her getting way more leads and way more sales and a 16.5x return on ad spend. All of that started by using seasonal messaging. So each season, each quarter, think through, what does my audience care about right now, need more of right now, struggling with more right now, and see if you can leverage that in your ad creative. Now let's get into these 7 versions of creative that you can use in your ads. The first one is a less than 1 minute video. Not longer than 1 minute, especially if you want someone to go somewhere in your ad. Start really strong. You don't have to overthink recording these videos. Use your phone, just make sure you have good lighting and good enough audio. You don't need special equipment. face to camera, honestly, as organic as you can make it look. Because think about when people are scrolling the feed, and this is true for all ad creative, you don't want it to stand out glaringly like an ad, because humans are trained to ignore advertisements. So we want it to blend in the feed to capture attention and create that connection. So a video shot with your phone versus like heavily produced is actually converts better. Shoot it with your phone, a minute or less, make sure you have that angle so you know what you're gonna talk about, and then add captions to it. Definitely add captions to the video, because a lot of times people consume video without the sound on. The second version of creative is a reel with B-roll behind it. So B-roll is like footage of you doing something, of the mountains, of nature. It's really easy to capture. It's also great for social media. So for your ad, you can use a reel with B-roll and some simple text on top of it. Just make sure if you use audio that you don't use copyrighted music. So you can look up if it's copyrighted, but all general like produced songs are copyrighted music. So you'll have to use either non-copyrighted music or no music at all, and just grab a B-roll clip of 30 seconds, put strong text on it, focused on that angle, focused on that hook, and use that as a version of your ad creative. The third version is also a reel, but maybe using multiple clips of B-roll, putting 5 to 10 different snappy 3-second clips of B-roll, and it can be of anything. It can be of you in the kitchen, playing with your kids, a mountain. It doesn't even have to directly go with what the text says on the reel, because again, that organic feeling, you want your content to have that organic feeling, because even though it's an ad, it's in the news feed that people are scrolling organic posts in. So grab a handful of clips, put them together in one reel, put a strong piece of text on top of it, and then no copyrighted music. The next version of creative is a designed graphic. Is a graphic maybe with you and text on it, and there's some design to it. This is a great version of creative to test. Just make sure you don't make it look like a billboard. Make sure you don't make it look overly designed, that it has some design to it and a good headline on it, but some elegance to it too, some naturalness to it. It's a lot of times our designers will do a picture with like a lot of open space in it and the text there, just making sure that it doesn't look too loud like an ad. Now this version of ad creative you may not think about, but could do potentially really well with your ad, and that is just a plain organic photo. No design, no text on it, no editing, because again, there are some times in advertising where if we make it look very organic, it will actually do better. This next version of creative is a carousel. So you've probably seen these on Instagram or Facebook where you slide and there's multiple slides. Typically, we'd recommend about 3 to 5 different slides for the carousel. Make sure, again, don't make them too busy, don't make them stand out as an ad, and make sure that first one really hooks people in, because they're not gonna keep sliding if it doesn't hook them in. Keep them pretty simple, and you could test one of them being just a plain image or a video with text that has slides. Another way that we've used carousels is with sales ads and using testimonials on each slide. The first slide be a more general call to action for the product or the offer, and then the rest of the slides being testimonials. You could do that with a lot of different ad calls to action and leveraging what people are saying about that thing you want someone to go do or go buy in a carousel ad. This last version of creative that I have is a text only ad. So think a color background and then having some light text on it. I actually have one of my ads that has like 900 likes right now, a ton of social proof. It's one of our top converting ads for my own business. That is just simple text. We noticed that especially this last year, those started converting, I think because they stood out and they were different than what people saw in the feed. And so that is also worth it to test. Overall, with your ad creative, it is super, super important that you test a lot of different things. There is definitely no one size fits all where everybody video works or everybody reels work or graphics or non-design graphics. You always want to be testing. And what's really interesting is sometimes you could have a month or a quarter where one thing does better and then it changes and something else does better. So it's really important that both initially when you launch Facebook ads, you test at least 3 to 5 different variations of your creative, and then you keep testing. You use the data. If the data is telling you, okay, video does better, don't never test an image again. Maybe lean, 70% of your creative towards video, but make sure to keep testing because you just never know if something is gonna work better than another. So testing is super important. We analyze all 100 plus businesses that we work with and the top converting creative, and it's almost 50-50 image versus video. So that just shows you it is not one or the other. Test a lot of different variations. The other thing to just reiterate again, the creative is only a piece of it. The actual messaging and emotional connection you're creating from the creative, which comes from the pain, desire, or frustration that you're trying to connect to, is so much more important. Figure that out first and then use these 7 versions of ad creative to go make some epic ad creative. I made a video about how to scale your Facebook ads really fast. It goes very well with this video if you want to click over and watch that as well.